Mark Cuban, a renowned entrepreneur and investor, once said, "You don't need to raise money. You need to be smart and be focused." This highlights the importance of financial literacy, strategic planning, and disciplined budgeting, key components of effective cash flow management. Many people don't realize how political changes can drastically shift supply and demand in agricultural markets, impacting our wallets and our dinner tables. Some countries are led by kings and queens, while others have presidents, and then there are those with leaders who seized power. These strongmen love to call the shots, and things can get chaotic fast. Just look at North Korea or Venezuela. The top leader decides everything: what people eat, wear, and even think. And trust me, it's not a pretty picture. This isn't just history, folks. It's happening right now. These leaders often believe they know best how to run everything, including farms. And that's where things get really interesting, or should I say downright alarming. Political changes can drastically shift agricultural markets. From policy changes to market disruptions, the impact is profound. In today's Financial Literacy 101, we'll explore how changes in leadership styles can lead to significant shifts in your food table and your pocketbooks. Remember when the previous leadership was in office? There were miles-long lines of people waiting to get food from food pantries. It's something to think about as we look at the past, the present, and plan for the future. We'll dive into budgeting later, but first let's examine how past events have affected consumer costs, all rooted in farming and agricultural industries. Now is a great time to meet your local farmers. Imagine you're a farmer. You've got your land, your crops, your way of life. Then the government steps in and says, "Hold my beer, we're taking over." Suddenly you're not farming for yourself or your community anymore. You're just a cog in the big government-run machine. That's what happens under these authoritarian regimes. They seize control of farms, set quotas, and tell farmers what to grow and how to grow it. The problem is these leaders aren't exactly agricultural experts. They're more like a bull in a china shop, except the china shop is your food supply. And what happens when the government makes all the farming decisions? Well, more often than not, it leads to shortages, famines, and a whole lot of hungry folks. It's like that old saying, too many cooks spoil the broth. Except in this case, it's too much government control spoiling the entire dinner plate. Now, some of you might be thinking, "Seamus, that sounds crazy," or "Why would any government do that," right? Well, history is packed with examples. Take Nazi Germany, for instance. Hitler wanted to control everything, even food. He thought German farmers could feed his entire war machine, but guess what? It didn't work out that way. And then there's the Soviet Union under Stalin. They tried collectivization, forcing farmers onto massive state-run farms. Sounded good on paper, but in reality, it was a disaster. The farmers had no incentive to work hard, leading to famine and hardship on a massive scale. Millions of people starved, y'all. Millions. These aren't just stories from the past. They're cautionary tales about what happens when governments try to control something as essential as food. Empty shelves and starving families in the modern world. You'd think we'd have learned by now, right? But here we are, seeing the same issues in places like Venezuela. Under Maduro's rule, they nationalized farms, and guess what happened? Food shortages, hyperinflation, and people fleeing the country. It's a sad, all too familiar story. And let's not forget North Korea. They've been dealing with chronic food shortages for decades. Their government's tight control over agriculture has led to mismanagement, inefficiency, and a lot of hungry people. It's heartbreaking. These modern day examples show us that authoritarian policies and food security just don't mix. When you take away incentives for farmers, disrupt supply chains, and try to control every aspect of agriculture, you end up with empty plates and suffering. Education is key. So what's the takeaway from all this doom and gloom? First off, we need to realize that food security is crucial and shouldn't be overlooked. It's a complex issue that needs careful planning, investment, and a bit of freedom. And that's where you come in. We all need to be financially literate. We need to understand how markets work, how supply chains function, and why having a diverse and resilient agricultural system is so important. We need to support innovation in agriculture, encourage young people to pursue careers in farming, and demand better from our leaders. We need to hold them accountable for creating policies that support a thriving and sustainable food system. Follow us on all our social media platforms and stay tuned for more Financial Literacy 101. Our next episode will cover budgeting and the cash flow statement. It might sound a bit daunting, but trust me, it's simpler than you think. We can't wait to share it with you. It's going to be a fun journey, and we're excited to have you with us. We're still working out the details of our entrepreneurship project, so please sign up for our mailing list. Stay connected. We promise it's going to be a fun ride. Take care, and we love y'all.